more on Norway and the krone. Let's hear from John Hydeskov. He's the chief analyst at Danske Bank here in London. Nice to see you, John. So, pretty obvious reasons, really, that investors are looking at the krone as a safe haven. Should they be? Is it a safe haven?
It is more safe haven than it was back in 2008, in December 2008, when the Norwegian krone against the euro reached 10. And investors were extremely scared. I was in Oslo myself at that point of time, and people were just staring at their cell phones saying, this cannot be real, this is a surreal situation. Nowadays, it's the other way around, because many investors now see the Norwegian krone as some kind of safe haven in the Scandinavian region, a hedge against financial turmoil. And they're just about right, I would say, because we have seen that the Norwegian krone has been extremely resilient to recent turmoil.
But it's already risen quite a bit, up 12% versus the dollar since the end of November, 4-year high versus the euro. Has it got much more legs?
If we see Norwegian krone in sort of like the traditional context, seeing at OECD's PPP analysis or a
price
Big Mac
purchasing power,
yes, or the Big Mac index, most would say that according to these metrics, the Norwegian krone is extremely overvalued and should depreciate from here on. I would say that these indices are not showing the correct picture. Norway's economy is really, really strong. It's expanding in difficult times, and we are seeing now that investors actually seek into the Norwegian krone when they try to have some safe haven in their portfolio.
Right, and so they're expected to grow something like 4% next year as well, so it's going from strength to strength. But these higher prices this higher currency can hurt the economy. I mean, the government's already said it's worried about exporters. They act as a double whammy for Norwegian companies because, of course, when they repatriate profits that they make overseas, they're worth less, and then it hurts their exports as well.
It's a completely natural situation for a central bank to react that way, I would say. But if we look at it over the past decade, we can see that export prices have actually increased quite significantly, while import prices have stayed relatively stable for Norway. So terms of trade have improved quite substantially for Norway. So I would expect also Norway to have a decent surplus on trade, on the trade account also next year and the year after that. We're seeing double-digit growth rates still.
One of the things that the Norwegian central bank's been doing is holding off on tightening so that they can reduce the appeal of the currency. Well, that's one of the reasons, and also because of the global economy and uncertainty over the oil price. But can they afford to do that? What's the inflation outlook? I know you've got a tight labor market there, but not necessarily high inflation.
No, inflation has not been that high and actually fell slightly last month. I would say that they cannot keep on to this very low policy rate for much longer. It was a surprise to most forecasters, including us, that they kept the policy rate at 2.25. I would say in 12 months' time, the policy rate is at least 3.25. And I know that some forecasters are even more aggressive than we are.
That'll be amongst some of the highest rates in the developed world.
Yes.
What about this traditional relationship between the oil price and the Norwegian currency? It's always tracked the oil price.
Yes.
It's doing that less so now. That relationship is diverging, is becoming less of a...
That relationship is stronger in investors' minds than it is in reality. We are seeing between a 20% and a 30% correlation between the oil price and movements in the Norwegian krone against the euro. So not a super strong relationship there. But still, if oil prices collapsed to what we saw back in 2009, yes, that would have a severe impact on the Norwegian economy.
So oil prices need to fall to what before we?
Well, I would say below 50.
Below 50.
Yes.
Okay. All right. John Hydeskov, thanks very much for helping us understand the Norwegian krone there.